How's it going, guys? So as you can see, I have my truck nose in the garage right here, and the reason why it's in the garage is because I have an HID bulb out. Now, let's talk about HID lenses and bulbs and stuff like that for a second. This is a 2005 Ford F-150, and it did not come with these headlights. These are aftermarket, and they're specifically called HID headlights. And what makes them HID headlights is they have this lens right here, where an HID, high intensity discharge bulb, I believe that's what that stands for, and that's where the bulb's installed. And what makes it legal in this housing is the lens right there focuses the light to a very fine line of light. So that way when oncoming drivers are coming towards you, the drivers are generally above that very fine line of light and they're not blinded. So that the high intense discharge light from that bulb will only shine ideally below where drivers of oncoming cars are sitting. So if you had an HID bulb and you installed it in, say, your fog lights, you would get a lot of light output, but that's very illegal, very dangerous for oncoming drivers, and I do not recommend that. So yeah, so what I need to do, I need to remove this housing, which that's very simple. There's a bolt right here, bolt right here, bolt right here. We'll remove this housing, and then we'll start changing out the bulb. Alright, so let's talk about HID bulbs for a second here. There's a couple different types and there's many different styles. Mainly they come in 55 watt and 35 watt. I currently have 35 watt in my truck. No problems whatsoever. I have plenty of light output. 9006 is the style of bulb. And then you also have a number, 1000 number, and then a K. K stands for Kelvin, and 8000K, that kind of represents the color of light that these lights put out. 8000 Kelvin, there's a chart on Google. 8000K I think is like a light blue. 10,000K is like a darker blue. Like 12,000, 14,000 is getting more into purple. 5,000 is kind of like a white light. You get down into 3,000, that's kind of like a yellow. So you have the ability to put out whatever kind of light you want. Again, good idea to check your local laws on what's legally acceptable, but I have 6,000 in there right now. It's a very light blue tint, but I wanted to go a little bit bluer. So yeah, so let's take out these housings and we'll replace these bulbs. Alright, so I have the housing out, and to remove this bulb, it's fairly simple. This is going to be my bulb right here. This is my high beams over here. So it's just a quarter turn and the bulb's out. I don't have to worry about touching this right now because this bulb's garbage anyway. And I'm just going to unplug the surrounding connectors. There's one other connector that goes down to the ballast. Alright, and that's all the connectors. And for those of you that have never done this before and you don't know what a ballast looks like, it's just a kind of square or rectangular metal box. It's approximately a ½ inch thick. There's slimmer ones and thicker ones, and that's basically what changes the current or voltage to allow these lights to run properly, because these run on a different voltage or current or amps from a standard 12 volt DC bulb, which is traditional. So yeah, let's get the new light in there. Alright, so I have the new light ready to go in. Notice that I've not taken the protective cover off yet because I want to be sure that I do not touch this, so I'm going to be very careful. This is generally how new bulbs come, and they just untwist. I'm going to be as careful as possible when you're installing this. This little plastic piece I could just break off after I install the bulb. You want to make sure you go in a straight shot. There's a couple of different tabs on that bulb, and you just want to line them up with the other tabs. Okay, it's in there. Quarter turn. Everything's nice and tight. Alright, that went just fine. Now it's as simple as plugging in the connectors. And it's actually impossible to screw this part up because each one of the connectors attached to this bulb is different. You have two of these type of connectors. One of them's male, one of them's female. I just plugged in the female. And then the other two connectors are just these two single connectors, and one's male and one's female. So it's pretty much impossible to screw this up. Alright, and the final one, it goes back to the ballast. Let me get a shot of the ballast for you. Alright, so the ballast is going to be, let me see. So the ballast is that metal box all the way down right there where I'm pointing. So this is the final connection of this light fixture. This just needs to get plugged in the ballast down there. Sorry, I know you can't really see that. Okay. Alright, and we're all set. Alright, one other light that I will be changing on this truck while I have my headlight out is my side marker light. And the side marker light basically provides side light protection, so cars coming at you on a 90-degree angle will help, it'll help identify your vehicle. So in order to take this light out, it's just a simple connector. You pull it out of the housing and you twist it, then it should come straight out. And then you just pop the bulb right out, it pulls straight out. And this is the bulb I have in there right now. It's actually not burnt out, but it's kind of chromed over and it's not very bright. So I figured now would be the appropriate time to replace it, and I've actually elected to go one step further, and I purchased these LED bulbs, which I've heard great reviews about. So I believe it's going to offer a better light output. It's going to offer better protection. I know I probably shouldn't be touching the LED heads, but oh well. Alright, a little bit of a tight fit. Now I'm just going to reinstall that. Should be very quick and very straightforward. It just goes directly in. You got to feel where the tabs line up. It may take you a couple tries to get it right. Alright, she's in the hole. Give it a quarter turn. Alright, it's locked in there. Now, before we reinstall this housing completely, I'm just going to turn my lights on and I'm going to ensure all the lights work. So let's see. Alright, so we turned on the headlights. Everything's functioning properly. My new side marker light is incredibly bright. LED side marker light. Very pleased with that. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. It should work with models 2004 to 2008 F150 and possibly further on, but incredible light. Very, very happy with that. My new HIDs are working properly, which I'm very pleased with that. I was a little worried that it may be the ballast, but it was just the bulb. Now, say this light was not to come on, then it could be a couple things. It could be your ballast, which that's the square rectangular silver box that we mentioned earlier. That could be burnt out and that could need replacing. Or it could be a fuse. Very often in HID headlight cars, there's a separate fuse for the left headlight and the right headlight, so check your fuses. And if it's still not functioning, you may have a nick in your wire somewhere, so check your wiring. It could also be that you have another dud bulb. So what you can do, you can actually switch out the bulb. So you can take the bulb in your driver's side headlight and put it in your passenger and see if it works. And by that point, you should definitely have a reason why it's not working. So